Wir haben nun allerdings eine Aufrüstung vollzogen, wie die Welt sie noch nicht gesehen hat.
All throughout the world, Auschwitz has become a symbol of terror, genocide, and the Holocaust. But on January 27, 2005, many people gathered at Auschwitz to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the day the Soviet army liberated the prisoners of the camp. Eva Kor led a group through Auschwitz to retrace her footsteps of an almost deadly childhood.
First of all, it's an anniversary, a celebration of freedom, and that is always important. Second, going back, for me, it's always like visiting my family cemetery, because standing on the selection platform, I can really see the last moment when I saw my family. Visually, it comes back very clear. Third, we learn a lot of lessons from that place.
60 years ago to the day, many prisoners of Auschwitz were liberated. And today, we are here to celebrate that liberation with many delegates from many nations and no survivors of Auschwitz.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us remember, we are on the site of the most gigantic cemetery of the world, a cemetery where there are no graves, no stones, but there are ashes of more than 1.5 million human beings laid.
And I said to them that I am never ever going back to an official celebration with them unless they will give the survivors equal respect that they gave to the politicians.
Although the conditions were brutal, it didn't compare to the seriousness it was back 60 years ago.
Well, I would say the best chance to live there may be children between 15, maybe to 35, because they were still young and strong enough to handle it. But the very young children like me, there weren't that many who made it. Realizing that the conditions were brutal. It was so cold. And in Auschwitz, you will have 2-3 days of extreme cold, and then it will get a little bit milder. But these 2-3 days were brutal, so why not cut every politician's speech to 5 minutes?
Eva's way to emotionally heal from the horrible things she suffered through the camps was to forgive the Nazis.
As long as you have some enemies or some people that you have feelings against, you are still dealing in the mentality of a victim. And I said, well, if I can forgive Mengele, I might as well forgive everybody. And it was a very important conclusion, because that really what gives you the complete freedom.
At Auschwitz II, Eva held a candle lighting ceremony in memory of the victims. Each individual had their own candle to dedicate it to what they thought should be remembered.
In the memory of 1.5 million children and my whole family that died here in Auschwitz.
I light this candle in memory of the 1 million children who died in the Holocaust, in honor of Eva and in honor of my father, who was a liberator.
I am of the opinion that even people like you and the other participants want to somehow express their own feelings, and that was an effort on my part to give every person an opportunity to say what they had in their hearts or their minds and make them part of the official observance.
Several years ago, Eva invited Dr. Munch, a Nazi doctor, to go with her to Auschwitz. He testified about the crimes that the Nazis committed at the camps.
Now, I want you to know that 10 years ago, I have done that ceremony, and that time I had only 12 people in my group. And I brought along the 12 candles. And I gave everybody a candle there, but I didn't give one to Dr. Munch because I did not want to put him on the spot. And he came up to me and he said, Eva, everybody's getting a candle, why am I not getting one? And I said, well, I didn't know you wanted one and I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. He said, I want one. I said, okay, here it is. And he went up to the crematorium oven and he lit that candle in the memory of all the people he watched die in the gas chambers. You could have dropped a pin. Everybody kind of gasped for air because it was such a deep statement. But I think it was also a very helpful statement for Dr. Munch. It was therapeutic to him to honor the memory of those he watched die.
In Eva's eyes, the visit to Auschwitz was a celebration of victory over the Nazis. She celebrated this by dancing and walking through the barbed wire that she was liberated in 60 years ago.
It was an interesting feeling to be marching between those barbed wires and kind of comparing it to the pictures from 1945. But now I had a group of students, friends, survivors, not survivors actually, just survivors of that, of that day, but students and who felt in a strange way that they are doing something historic.
While Eva was preparing to walk through the barbed wire, the group met a Ukrainian Holocaust survivor who was all alone. Eva invited him to join the group because she thought he needed someone to celebrate with.
I did it more for him than for me because I felt that he was very lonely. He was there all alone, and for him to share the experience with another survivor, it seemed to be important. And he kept pushing to do something else, even though he barely could walk. But he wanted to be able to share his feelings with some group or somebody, and I did not plan originally to dance between the barbed wires. I was just going to march with my group. But I felt it was important for him, and I was more than glad to do it. It's definitely an important celebration, and I want to be there for every anniversary.
The visit to Auschwitz will be a memory of a lifetime. However, our goal is to tell the story to our generation so that something like this will never occur again.
We are free! Free!